the usual shoulder stretching thing that I do. And so you could also do it without a strap if you can't find a good substitute for that. But we'll probably start up here in a second, so you have a second to go and get it. And Lily's in the yoga class today. She'll be cleaning all during class. So we'll come into a standing position and make our mountains. Having our feet anchor our mountains. Placing those feet into the earth, hip width apart, and growing up towards that clear blue sky we have today. Maybe imagining that you are one of those 14ers that we have in Colorado. Breathing in that sunshine and blue sky, and breathing out darkness. Breathing in clarity, imagining that your summit is here, leaning into that blue sky, and exhaling darkness. So staying in that flow of refilling with radiance and brightness, and exhaling. Inhaling positivity, exhaling anything that's raining on your parade today. Inhaling, creating a little piece of softness in the knees, and exhaling through the earth. Making those breaths nice and lengthy. Nice and long. Rising the arms up on both sides, up into a summit, making that summit. So sometimes I'll cross my hands a little bit to get that apex in there, and then exhaling down slowly. So we're pushing clouds today. Feeling those shoulder blades in the back. So we push those clouds down. Then eventually the hands will come together in front of the body, and then we'll bring them back up slowly. And once again, we'll push those fluffy white clouds away slowly, feeling the resistance in the arms. And then one more time, bringing the hands up through the center, up to our core, and exhaling out to the sides. And this time we're going to go all the way down to the ground, coming down to the earth, and massaging the earth. And then inhaling out to the sides again. And this time, as we have our arms up, we're going to make figure eights all the way down as we bend. Figure eighting all the way down. Figure eighting all the way up. So it's like we're snowing. And figure eighting all the way down. Figure eighting all the way up. And then we'll turn towards our left and conduct our orchestra there and figure eight around the body mind. Turning back towards center, and then we'll figure eight on the other side. So twisting to the side and snowing on this side. Coming to the center, and we're going to snow on each side one more time. So we'll turn towards one side, spreading that snow, coming to the center, and snowing on the other side. Coming to the center, bringing the arms all the way up to our summit, making snowy mountain, exhaling, coming all the way down. Bringing those fingers back down to the ground. And if you have your strap nearby, grabbing your strap and bringing it up as you stand up. So we'll start with a kind of wide strap for the arms as we inhale over the head. And exhale down in front. Inhaling back, sweeping over the head. So we're going behind the head a little bit. Coming down in front. And one more time, sweeping up ahead and a little bit behind. And down. We're making it a little bit smaller, coming to the side. So we're doing a lateral stretch. Stretching to the side. And being present with that for a second, and then we'll turn over to the other side. And we'll do this 2 or 3 times from side to side. Getting our lateral stretches in. And sometimes feel that stretch all the way down to the hip bone and beyond. And we're going to come up the center and unfold the strap a little bit because we're going to go behind. Inhaling up and down in front. Up on this time and then down and back. So trying to get over that glitch we might have there as the arms go from front to back. Making this slow roll. So the body has time to compensate, and then we'll do this one more time. Coming over to the back, and then we're going to change our hand position on the strap a little because we're just going to pretend we're in the shower with our towel, and we're massaging the back. So if no one massaged your back today, here we go. Just gently rubbing the back and then changing our arm positions. So we have the other arm up and we'll get the other side of the back. Just warming up that back. Giving it some extra TLC today. And then we're going to bring the strap around the neck and we're going to do the same thing. Please don't give yourself a rope burn, but just gently going up and down and maybe going around those muscles in the neck and giving them some attention. Heating them up a little bit before we do the helicopter. And then coming out with your hands around the ends. And we're going to start with going from side to side once again. And as we go to this side, we're going to bring the arm down in the middle, and the other arm is going behind the head, rotating to the other side, coming down in front. The back arm comes over and behind the back, going from side to side. And we're rolling around. Back, side to side, down in front. Finding your way with helicopter. We're going to go around one more time in this rhythm. And then we're going to change directions next time you come in front. Side to side, down in front, around behind. Down in front, over behind. Rotating around the body. Hoping that that muscle memory will serve you well today. And today we're practicing what it means to be a helicopter. They're kind of all over the place. And then we'll slow down, come to the center with our straps, and then we're going to drop them to the side of our mat. As we come into the center and bring that mudra of perfect harmony to our wisdom center and to our hearts. And breathing in that harmony, that perfect balance. Breathing it into the body-mind. So we'll bring the hands to the wisdom center once again, to the heart once again. And then we'll sweep those wings out to the side, and then we're going to bring them behind the body. So bringing the interlaced fingers behind, having the feet at hip width, opening the heart to shine. So I think someone once said, our love in our hearts makes us invincible. So we're going to be shining those invincible hearts, but once again today. Inhaling, growing tall like the mountain, softening the knees, exhaling to the left. Bringing that hand around if you can on the opposite side of the body, stretching those shoulders. Inhaling to the center, exhaling to the other side. Stretching but not straining. You're bending mountains today. Inhaling to the center, exhaling in front. And here's where we can raise our arms a little or have them rest on the tailbone. Inhaling and coming up. Exhaling through the mountain base. Inhaling, gentle back bend so we can feel the hands sliding down towards the earth. Nice long neck as we come into that gentle back bend. And exhaling to center. So as we exhale, we release the wings and bring them to the front. And we're going to whirl them all the way down and around so we can come down to the ground. Bringing one knee down, bringing the next knee down. If you want, you can put something under your knees or roll your mat up. And bringing the wings up once again. And interlacing the hands behind the body. Shining the heart once again. Making sure those knees are shoulder width apart, so they're not together. Inhaling in towards the center, once again, and leaning to the left. Opening your sail in front, imagining that you're on Lake Dillon today. And look down at the earth, giving a twist to the neck. Inhaling straight ahead and rising up. Exhaling to the other side. Looking down at the earth. Looking towards the center and the front. And inhaling up. Exhaling down, we're going to let go of the hands. Placing them on the mat, coming down on the top of the head. Breathing here. So the bum, the gluteals are up in the air. This is not like child's pose. And then with the hands by the knees, pushing the body back up. Bringing those wings back up. And then once again, we're going to turn towards the left and place the back hand on the heel, coming up into the camel, which I'm sure those Bactrian camels are dancing in the snow once again today. Breathing in, breathing out as we enjoy this gentle back bend. Inhaling that wing up to center and exhaling the other wing around behind the heel. So I usually turn the toes under, building that star. Taking a couple breaths and then coming up to the center. And we're going to bring the hands down to tabletop. And so here you can lift the knees and either walk up or you can hop up. Inhaling those arms all the way up into Snowy Mountain again. So the hands are near each other. And then exhaling them down and bringing them behind the body once again. So we'll do one more series of Karmasana, which is really good for the lungs, really good for the immune system. Breathing in, breathing out. And once again, we'll glide to the side. Shine that compassion in the heart. Like a beacon into the world. Inhaling and coming up the center. And then we'll exhale to the other side. Rolling those shoulders behind us. Opening the chest. Opening the lungs. Inhaling back up into mountain pose and then exhaling forward. Diving down. Going down into the coal mine. Inhaling, coming back up slowly. Pressing those feet into the earth. Feeling that connection with the earth as we exhale into the earth. Inhaling up, and we're going to come into a gentle back bend. Nice long neck. Looking up towards the, beyond the ceiling to the blue sky. To the sun. And then exhaling to our centers again. So as we do this, we release the arms and they come in front because we're going to whirl back down to the ground, down to the earth once again, coming down. You can come down on your fist or your palm. Position your knees so that they're hip width apart. Coming up once again with the palms together, visiting the wisdom center, visiting the heart space. Sweeping those wings out and then taking them behind the body once again as we get ready for one more turn with this. Inhaling and exhaling to the side. As we shine that heart space, just in case the world didn't get enough love today, we're sending backups, coming back to center, and then gliding to the other side, looking down if you would like, making that connection with the earth, with the creation, coming back to center, and up. Exhaling down. So here we'll release the hands. We'll go on either side of the knee as we come down on the top of the head. So the glutes are high. Breathing in and out as we're in this baby headstand. Pushing into the hands and coming up. As the body comes up, the wings come up. And we'll turn to the left, placing one hand on that heel, sending the opposite hand to the sky. Setting a star there. Breathing in, breathing out, always maintaining that awareness, that connection with the breath. Inhaling both wings up and exhaling, twisting to the other side. And making your camel, building your star that you're sending up into the sky. Coming back to the center with both wings, and then we'll drop down into table. Curling the toes, lifting the knees up, either walking or hopping to the hands, inhaling and slowly coming up once again. Exhaling the hands back to the heart. Breathing in and out. As I'm preparing my mat for warrior pose. Breathing in, breathing out. Closing the eyes and just mentally connecting with the breath for a minute. So the more that we bring that awareness and that connection into that breathing, the clearer the mind stays for us. So the mind just shines when we're doing that activity. Breathing in, and out. So then we'll bring our left leg forward and the right leg back. So we're getting ready for warrior one. So the legs are hip width apart, one behind the other. And both these hips are like headlights. And so we want them both pointing straight ahead. Bringing the hands to the heart and stabilizing our mountain in warrior one pose. Making sure that we're scooching that front leg up enough so that when we fold and bend that knee is going to be hopefully in a perfect right angle. Inhaling those wings up, exhaling into that front knee. Looking straight ahead. As we practice smiling with our eyes. Smiling with the mouth. Making the whole face smiling as we step forward into the world. Breathing in, breathing out. Kind of deepening our stance into that front knee a little bit before we exhale up and bring the hands to the heart. Breathing in, breathing out. Sweeping those arms up and overhead on the inhale, exhaling into that knee again. Being that spiritual warrior of light. Remembering that we're good problem solvers. Problems just make the warrior spirit stronger. Kind of coming down into that knee a little bit more. Inhaling, rising up. Exhaling the hands back to the heart. Pressing the feet into the earth as we get ready for one more expression of Warrior One, Virabhadrasana One. So here we go, inhaling the arms up, exhaling into that knee. Trying to feel that knee pointing straight and not wandering to either side. So you're ready to receive any curveballs that the universe throws, as if we haven't gotten enough this year already. And we're going to sink down a little bit before we rise up. Exhaling the arms down. Bringing the hands to the heart. So we're sealing this expression as well. We're going to bring the hands down to the thigh and lean forward because we want to bring that back foot right up next to its neighbor. Coming up and bringing the hands to the heart again. Breathing in, breathing out. So then we're going to send the other leg behind us. Establish the base of the mountain for Warrior One. Making sure that both those hip headlights are facing forward and are pointing ahead, even though this leg is back. Breathing in, breathing out as we stabilize our mountain range here. And inhale up, exhale into that front knee. Maintaining that smile even though people are throwing stones into your path. So obstacles are just there to make us stronger and to empower us to sweep them away for another day. Sinking down a little bit before we rise up and exhale the arms down to the heart. Breathing in, breathing out. As we decide to sweep those arms and wings up once again, exhaling into that front knee. Keeping our focus one pointed. Holding those values that are most dear close to our heart. Getting ready to come up and whirling those arms around again. Breathing in and out. As we prepare ourselves mentally for sweeping up into warrior one once again. On the inhale, exhaling into the knee. Pressing into both feet. Making sure that we're not leaning into the future or leaning into the past. We want to be exactly vertical. Pulling those abdominal muscles in. Breathing in. Breathing out. Exhaling the arms down. Exhaling the legs straight. Bringing the hands to the heart. And then we're going to slide them down to the leg, leaning forward, because we're going to bring our feet together again. Bouncing off that back leg. Bringing the arms straight overhead, building our summit, building snowy mountain, and coming back to the heart once again. Breathing in, breathing out. You may dare to smile. Blue sky day. It's a good day. So we just did a lunge forward and back with the warrior warrior one rather. Now we're going to put our feet on the outside of our mats. Hopefully you're in your bare feet and not socks so that you won't slide. So we're gonna experiment with lunging from side to side a little because we're getting ready for ice racing. So if you remember the ice racing pose, you can also try it from this angle on your mats. So we can do it from either position. And as we're starting to slowly warm up, decide whether you want your feet pointed straight ahead or if you like to have them a little bit to the side. As we lunge slowly from side to side. So one leg is bent, one leg is straight. And then to get into the full ice racing posture, now that our legs are going, we're going to add our arms. So when you bend one knee on one side, you're going to bring the opposite arm or elbow towards that and rotate those arms from side to side. Please breathe. Lunging from side to side, bringing those elbows in. So there's a slight twist in the torso as we bring those elbows in. Can you feel that? So the elbow does not need to touch the knee, it's just going in that direction. So we're getting ready to round the bend. Here we go. Rounding the bend of the ice rink. Sure you didn't realize you were coming to the Olympics when you came to class today. But here we are. Ice racing. Going from side to side. Moving those knees and elbows. And then we'll bring both the arms up, having the straight legs. Coming up into our mountain again, snowy mountain. And coming down. As the wings come down, we'll bring our toes in, our heels, toes, heels, toe, heels, until we're perfectly vertical. And bringing the hands to the heart. And here we'll recalibrate our breaths together for a while. Breathing in, breathing out. And while we're here, we're going to come down to the, oh no, we're going to stay up. I'm going to do one more. So we're going to do a balance pose before I forget. So you can either come to the wall and put your elbow in the wall, especially where it's bent, or you can lean against a piece of furniture like this. And so I think I'll go for the wall. Being here next to Lily. So the hands are on the hips, a little bit below the waist. So we can feel our leg raising and making sure that it doesn't go up too high. Connecting our elbow with the wall, breathing in, breathing out. And then we're going to start lifting that back foot. So you can put that back toe behind you in the floor as a first step. And then when you are ready, lifting that back foot. And it doesn't need to be really high. If you press out through the heel, you've got that stretch in the hamstrings, in the calf muscle. Lifting the leg a little, but making sure that this glute that belongs to that leg doesn't go up too much higher than the glute on the other side. So I like to put my thumbs there. And making sure that that glute doesn't go up too high, works this front quad muscle in that upper leg. Breathing into that leg. And then bringing that leg down, and we'll turn around. So sinking this other elbow into the wall. Finding a nice position for the legs. And remember that you're going to bring that outside leg behind you and up. So once you have your mountain pose, you want to bring that outside leg behind you on the big toe. Kind of prepping up the body for what we're doing. And then when you're ready, lifting that back leg up. So pressing through the heel. Maybe that elbow in the wall will slide a little bit as you move forward. So we're leaning forward a little bit. And kind of keeping that glute down. And breathing with this pose, breathing with that upper leg muscles. Pulling the head up and not allowing the head to fall. And slowly bringing that leg in. So we'll try that one more time on each side. As we set up on this side with the elbow blending with the wall. Find your ideal mountain pose. And then when you are ready, breathe a couple of times. And then once again, put that outer foot back on the big toe, preparing that base leg, and then bring that leg up. Leaning forward on a diagonal, trying to keep the neck nice and strong. The head, I'm trying to keep the head from cannonballing down. The ideal position is with that base knee maybe a little bit bent, but not locked into the socket. And then we'll straighten. Bringing both legs down and coming around on the other side. Finding your ideal position. Taking a breath or two. Sending that outside foot behind you. And once again, lifting that leg. Making the neck nice and long. Watching those glutes. Breathing in. Breathing out. Pressing through the heel to activate those muscles on the back of the leg. The leg that's raised. And then bringing it down into the earth. Turning around and coming down to the ground. Down on the mat. Coming down with the soles of the feet together. And rounding the back. Coming into acknowledge your inner turtle. Aligning ourselves with balance. Rounding the back and then coming upright into a simple cross-legged position if you can. And then we're going to do just a few orbits here. So orbiting around the body, holding on to the knees for dear life as we slide back, coming to the side, forward folding, coming to the other side, coming to the back. Making that full circle, that orbit around the body. As we're orbiting around, maybe you can think about whether you think there's life on Mars. What will they find? And how will that be relevant? So as we turn around one more time, we're going to change directions. Orbiting the other way. Of course, our planets and our solar system do not have this luxury of changing their orbits. So Slowly going the other way. Stretching to the side for the lateral. Stretching forward for the forward fold. Coming lateral again and to the back. We'll come around, circle maybe 2 more times. Seeing how all those muscles and bones and body parts are doing. We'll come up front. Bringing maybe our left leg forward. Crossing that leftover leg over it. So this one's going to be on a diagonal. And as we get into this position with one bent knee, we're going to take the opposite arm and swim it around that knee, hugging that knee into the chest. We're going to take our leftover arm and scan the landscape, taking it around to the side. And we're twisting around the belly and planting that into the earth. Growing your twist tall. Pulling in the abdominal muscles. So the shoulders are twisting your torso to the side. Twisting those worries, bringing them out. Body mind as we look over the shoulder. Twisting the neck as well. Not much weight on that back hand, just kind of our measuring stick to make sure that the body is vertical. And then lifting that back hand and slowly bringing it to the front. And as we bring it to the front, we'll bring it right into the heart. Imagining that all those living beings that was in that landscape that we just scanned are now in our heart. Breathing in, breathing out. And then we'll switch legs. So we're going to put the other leg straight in front of us and on a diagonal and cross the other foot in front. And then take the opposite arm and fold it around that knee in front. And once we have that settled, we'll send the other arm, scanning the landscape, scanning my cat, coming behind the body. So opening those shoulders, making those shoulders broad, and looking over that back shoulder. In those abdominals so that we can twist. Growing our mountains tall. Staying connected to the breath. Staying connected to our inner source. Turn to the side. Lifting up that back hand on the inhale breath, scanning the landscape once again, and bringing all those images into the heart. Loving up all those living things on 2 legs, 4 legs, 100 legs, into the heart. And coming into a cross-legged pose. Oh no, we're going to have our legs out in front. We're going to do some joint things. So with the legs in front, Maybe we'll circle our feet around and make ankle circles with the feet. Turning them in one direction. And then changing directions, taking the ankles the other way. All about orbiting today. And then we'll take them from side to side like windshield wipers. Turning not only our ankles, but our knees, our hips. So cleaning those windshields. And then we're going to take one leg and bend it up and bring it over your opposite knee, because we're going to do what's called an ankle crank, where we take our hand and it can be either over the entire foot, or you can put one finger in between, if the toes are cooperative, one finger in between each toe and pull them away from the foot and also crank the foot gently. Turning that ankle around, rotating the foot. So we're stretching those plantar muscles on the bottom of the foot and changing directions. My feet are a little bit dyslexic, so when I turn them with my hand, I'm more likely to get a complete circle. And then we'll slap that foot up and bring the other leg up, bending that knee. And again, you can put your hands in between each toe, or just have the whole hand on top of all the toes. So we turn that ankle. Around 3 or 4 times in one direction and then the other direction. And then we'll slap this foot up, good foot, good foot. And we'll come into a cross-legged position. So we can bring the wrist out and do the same thing. So we're turning the wrist together in the same direction, which you can do with the fist, or you can have the hands out, either way. And then we'll turn them in the other direction. And then we'll have them facing each other. And we'll do this mudra. And change directions. And then we're going to change directions all the way back to the shoulders. So putting the hands and fingers on the shoulders, we're going to make those little shoulder circles towards the front first. Making a little spiral that gets bigger and bigger, like a petroglyph on a cave wall. What was it I was reading? That they found this conch shell that was obviously blown. It's been blown, and so it's a musical instrument. It's like 10 or 12,000 years old. So we're dancing in those big circles now. Ginormous circles. Trying to bring those elbows towards each other in front. And this helps us kind of get into the shoulders a little bit. My shoulders are talking to me. I need to do this more. So big wide circles, bringing those elbows towards each other, stretching that back. And then we're going to change directions. So we're starting with the ginormous circles in this direction. Can you hear the conch yet? It's cheering us on. Making those slow, humongous, ginormous circles. And once again, trying to bring those elbows towards each other, just for that maximum stretch. But don't get too enthusiastic, you might start levitating. So then coming into the smaller spirals on that cave wall. And then we're going to bring the elbows together, open that flower, spreading the fingers, bringing the fingers in towards the shoulders, opening those elbows, taking them back a little bit, and then coming to the front, opening that flower, bending those hands so that they're pointing straight down to the ground, and bringing those hands back up, opening a little bit past my frontal plane here. And then bringing them forward once again, opening that flower. Pointing those fingers towards the ground and bringing them up. Opening the elbows one more time and bringing the hands down to the knees. So then we'll just close the eyes here and breathe in. Breathe out. Bridging that connection with the breath. Breathing in. Breathing out a few more times. And we'll come into tabletop for cat-cow. So bringing the knees hip width apart and the hands shoulder width apart. And so the hands are spread just like starfish. Inhaling, making that valley in the back. Exhaling, doming the back and even pushing back a little bit from the knees toward the heels. Inhaling back up, making that valley in the back. And then pointing that tailbone down, arching the back and coming down. So we're going to do 4 or 5 of these cat-cows. Inhaling up, making that valley, sending that tailbone up to the sky, and then pulling it down as the exhale breath comes. Doming the back. Feeling those vertebrae move one way and then the other. So the wave is set by the position of the tailbone, which is up now. And then as we're exhaling, it goes down to the earth. Inhaling, coming up, building that valley, pointing that tailbone up, and exhaling down. So we'll do one more of these duets, this cat-cow duet. Pointing the tailbone up. Exhaling, bringing the spine up. Bringing the navel up and coming down. So with cat-cow, we're going to come right down onto the floor for cobra. So coming down on the tummies. Coming down with the hands near the ears. And just resting a moment with the breath. Just kind of blending with the earth. Relaxing the lungs into the earth so the lungs get a little massage in the cobra pose. And then whenever you're ready, we'll inhale and rise up and bring the hands up with us. So we're flying cobras right now with the arms parallel to the earth. Raising up just a little bit. And then trying to exhale down slowly. And then on the next inhale, rising again. Being that flying cobra. And exhaling down slowly once again. Inhaling again. This time we're sliding the forearms forward a little bit. So we're looking straight ahead. Legs can be apart. Rising up, trying to shed the skin of worries, of troubles, just letting that skin shed off. Lifting the arms and escalatoring down. Breathing in, breathing out. Inhaling up again. When you're ready, lifting the arms and bringing those Sphinx arms forward. Making sure that the chest is open like a sail. And we're going to shed that skin again. The troubled skin, the worried skin, the skin of darkness. Just imagine it coming off. Lifting those arms again and escalatoring down. Connecting with the earth once again. So this time, as we begin to rise up, you want to express Bhujangasana in your favorite way. So inhaling, coming up and expressing whichever manifestation of the cobra you would like to be. On your hands, on your forearms, flying. It's all about diversity and exhaling slowly back down. If you want to, you can roll your hands, palms are forward, so you can give your wrist a rest. Breathe in and out into those wrists. Turning the hands back down, imagining which expression of Bhujangasana you want to get, and when you're ready, rising up into that. Opening the shoulders. Being the smiling cobra. Exhaling back down. So as we come down into the floor again, we're going to bring the hands near our waist, push ourselves up into tabletop, and walk with our knees a little bit towards the towards our mat, and to sit into a cross-legged position for Janu Shirasana. So Janu Shirasana is with one leg extended, might be on an angle, and bending that other leg so that the foot comes right into the thigh. Growing this mountain up, opening the chest, inhaling these wings up. And as the wings are up, we're going to bend that knee and exhale and position that body right on top of it. So the knee or the leg is coming into the chest, massaging the chest, and also indirectly massaging the back. Inhaling those wings up and over. And once again, exhaling them down and around to the foot. Grabbing that foot so the bottom of the foot is up. Inhaling those wings back up, and then we're going to go down one more time. Bringing the wings down to the sides and around to the front. Lengthening the back. Folding down on that knee. Keeping the neck nice and long. Inhaling back up. So as we inhale back up, we're going to bring this hand right behind the bent knee, and we're going to move this leg so it's out to the side. And then we're going to inhale back up on that bent knee. Sweeping that arm over the head. Straightening that back leg. Dropping the hand in front. Winding back down to the ground. And here we're going to switch knees. So I'm going to have the other leg out on a diagonal. And this foot into the inner thigh. Inhaling both those arms up and bending that leg that is up now. Turning my torso so I face that leg and exhaling down, lifting the foot up. Bringing my chest and back into this leg. Lying down. Breathing in and out. Inhaling those wings up. Imagining your being is expanding. So this particular asana, each asana has some mental or emotional or psychic capacity. And this one expands and grows hope. Pulling this leg into your chest, into the back. And then inhaling and releasing, allowing those wings to go up into the summit. So we're building our snowy mountain again. Exhaling down. As we come down, we're facing the torso towards this leg, grabbing the foot and coming down. Stretching that lower back. Breathing a couple of breaths. Inhaling those wings. And here's where I take one hand and put it behind my bent knee. And I take the other hand and I straighten out this leg in front and send it to the side. And then when I'm ready, I'm going to lean forward and magically rise up. And I can almost pet my cat. Having a nice lateral stretch. And once we've alley-ooped up, we'll exhale back down. And then we'll bring our legs to the front. And as we come to the front, we're going to put our arms slightly behind us. And then we're going to come down on the forearm, which is behind the back. Palms into the earth. And we're going to experiment with lifting the legs. So first we'll lift one leg up, bending the knee into the chest, and then sending it down to the ground. Sending the other leg up, bending the knee into the chest, and down to the ground. So here's the kicker. We're going to lift both legs up, bend both knees, and then sending them down into the ground. So we're going to do that again, lifting both legs up, working the core a little bit, bringing the knees into the chest, and down, and up we go again, bringing those legs up, into the chest, and down into the ground. Let's do it again. Up, into the chest. But this time we're going to go back up and down. Bring those legs up into the chest. Back up and down. So then we'll come all the way up and do a few orbits just to make sure that all the muscles are fine. So orbiting around the back, orbiting around the neck, and coming around. And maybe while we're here, we'll turn the other way once or twice. And then we're going to rumba the legs. So putting the legs in front of us, hands behind us again. We'll be turning the knees to each side of the floor. So we're going to do the rumba from side to side in a seated position. And then we're going to do it on our backs. So this time as we turn the knees to one side, we're going to come all the way down to the back and do that same rumba on the back. So with the palms down, twisting the legs and turning them from side to side. Feeling that stretch in the hip. Making sure that the hips aren't turning too quickly. Rotating hips from side to side, and then we'll put the arms more in a T or right below a T. Stretch. And we're gonna lift both legs, knees bent into the chest, and then take both knees down to one side. So we're trying to bring the knees towards the arm, and the knees are stacked on top of each other so that we can massage that hip. I think we did this last week. Taking care of those hips. Maybe going into the back a little bit. Leaving the hand back down and turning the neck to look at that arm that is behind us for a moment, and then we're going to lift those knees up to center and take them down the other side, trying to bring those knees close to the arm and rubbing that other hip and catching the back a little bit. Giving some TLC to the hip. It worked so hard. And then dropping that arm behind us and turning the head to look behind as well. So getting a little neck stretch in there as we bring the bent knees to center and then slide those legs down. So coming into a deep relaxation, coming into Shavasana, turning the head from side to side. Huddling into the earth. Keeping that connection to our breath, that awareness of the breath. So that it clean sweeps the mind and clean sweeps the emotions. And leaves us in a state of harmony, in a state of peace. Breathing in, breathing out. Feeling the earth beneath you. Feeling that sense of connection to all of humanity. Up and down, Eva, Bob and Bob and Bob And may you find peace this week. Namaskar. Thank you for coming.